and we are back with our next live show. Today, we have Dianalee Velie. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing it wrong, and I look forward to having her on board with us and having a good chat with her about her poems, which is there in our book Inner Eye. It was published 6-8 months back, but it's a very interesting book and has a lot of unique aspects, such as there are poets from Kuwait, Norway, UK, Malaysia, and lots of other places like Ireland and Australia, Canada. This book also has a lot of illustrations, which is a unique USP of this particular book, because that's not been the case with other books wherein there are color illustrations there in this book, visually representing the poems of the poets in this book. Coming back, we let us have Diana. I don't know how long that will take for us to have her on board. It's going to be tricky, but we'll try. Okay, let's see. Sent an invitation to her, and I just hope that she joins in pretty soon. Yes.
Can you see me?
Oh, it's great to have you. Welcome.
Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you.
Okay.
Perfectly fine, and I can also hear you very well. Can you hear me properly, and can you see me?
I can see you.
Excellent. So let's begin with the show.
Okay.
What would you like to share with our audience here about yourself? Let's begin with that. What do you say?
Do you want me to read from Inner Eye first?
Oh yes, we can begin with that. You can read your poems from Inner Eye.
Because that's the
You have the
newest.
book with you then.
I have the book with me.
Excellent.
So this is new work. This is not from any of my books. This is new. And
Okay.
it's called Joe and Fawn, residents of Newbury.
Okay.
And I live in the woods, so you'll understand.
Okay.
Morning dew glittered on our backyard lawn when a tiny fawn stumbled out of the woods. Following closely, Mother Doe trailed her baby, then stood quietly while the darling nursed. Sipping morning coffee, we dared not breathe or move an inch, lest we startled them from this mesmerizing miracle. Not wanting to be spotted through the sliding glass doors that bring our outdoors in. For 5 minutes, we forgot the virus, the protests, and the rioting. Instead, we stayed focused on mother and child, assuring us of love, life, and beauty in this world.
Absolutely beautiful.
And the other one that's in Inner Eye is called The Fall. And I live in New Hampshire, and the fall here, the autumn is gorgeous. The leaves change color, miracle. And this is called The Fall. And it starts with a quote by Arthur Osborne. Away, away, into the sky I dance. And when leaves are falling, it looks like a dance. A gray sky exploded with kaleidoscope colors of yellow, red, orange, and russet leaves as the wind spun in eddies, and rain glistened on the entire show, turning it into an exotic spectacle worthy of a Seurat painting. Eden must have looked like this during the fall. Dots and dabs of vivid autumnal colors awash in the tempest of a storm. Eve dancing like Martha Graham as the wet leaves clung to her nakedness, and Adam scurrying to build a shelter by chopping down the tree of life that had just shed its leaves to clothe Eve. She welcomed this change, this new wetness from heaven, and a stunning exhibition of the life-affirming power of letting go of past comfort and twirling with courage into the future. Nature responded to her with exhilaration, with thousands of leaves of joyous splendor. Splendor even Dante could never envision in paradise.
Absolutely wonderful. It's you really have a knack for the right expression, you know.
Well,
For example, the splendor even Dante would never envision in paradise.
right.
It's it's a rare trait, you know. It's not easy to come across very easily.
I'm a big fan of Dante.
Oh, I see.
Okay, now I'll read from my first book. The first
Go
book I
ahead, go
wrote.
ahead. We, for our audience, I'd like to share with them that our poet today is going to read from almost six of her poetry books that she's written in. And we really look forward to hearing her recite all of them if possible.
Okay, Glass House is my first book. And I wrote the first poem in here I wrote when I was 16. So that's a long
Oh,
time ago. But I wanted to put it, it's the first book,
wow.
and it just shows that once you're a poet, you're always a poet. Rose of Sharon. And I wrote this poem after my father had to go to work every day, raising 3 girls, never stopping, and keeping her smile on all the time. And we had a Rose of Sharon bush outside. Rose of Sharon, full white blossom with scarlet filling. No wonder they called you woman. Each day opening fully, bearing your blood-red heart and then shutting demurely with the night. Even clipped, you follow your same routine in a glass jar or a crystal vase. The need is there to expose the center, the core of your reality. Even though when full, open, the wasps and bees jab away at your primrose core, stealing your sweet nectar, while you keep the same smooth rhythm every day of your life. Rose of Sharon.
Okay. Can we see the books, please, if you don't mind? If we'd like to
Can you
see
see
the
it?
books.
Can you see it?
Oh, yes. Now I can. Now I can. Yes.
Glass House.
Wow. That's an interesting cover design, though.
It's a. The artist is no longer alive. She passed away. But I named it Glass House because, and I like that painting because being a poet, you feel like you're standing in a glass house naked. You're exposing your inner life. So that's the title of the book and the painting.
Okay.
Liturgy at Mud Turtle Pond. Like I said, we live in the woods, and even though I was raised Catholic, I find God in nature.
Wow.
And this poem is called Liturgy at Mud Turtle Pond. It might have been the birds chanting Gregorian melodies, heralding that moment between darkness and light, or the elusive otters frolicking in their kingdom, oblivious oblates ignoring my silent canoe, and the early morning mists rising off the pond like an offering of heavenly incense. Perhaps the opalescent turquoise darning needles, shimmering, iridescent angels skimming the water's surface, or the painted turtles sunning on fallen logs, stretching their necks to worship the sun, all converged like a prayer at noon. More likely, the plain pine table covered by a yellow striped cloth, where we shared bread and wine, brought me back to the altar of my youth. Or maybe the beavers living a life of continuous prayer, a life of beginning over and over again, building dam after dam that we deconstructed each morning to keep the water flowing, all whispered to me like 5:30 vespers. Possibly the shadows standing tall and erect against the evergreens, like Benedictine monks observing Compline, silhouettes that eventually melted into golden reflections on the still water, brought this peace, or the company of 2 90-year-olds who flirted and drank cocktails on the dock, keeping a vigil under stars crying out to be touched. It might have been any part of this liturgy at Mud Turtle Pond, that caused me to wonder why I ever wandered so far from the God I love, only to find myself here in the woods, overcome with reverence, singing silent songs of praise.
That's a long poem. That's really long. Interesting.
Now, you know William Carlos.
Which is the next poem?
The next. Children's pediatrician. So my mother always told me that he saved my life twice.
We are having. Okay.
The second time wanting so desperately for me to live, blowing life and spirit into my lungs, yours. Have poems written by me lay dormant, germinating over time with the memory of that creative moisture in your breath. Giving breeze. Extending myself. Did you leave a fissure deep within my soul twice? If you did do all that my mother says, do I thank you, praise you? No, I think not. My mother did all that. To taste the sweat of terror on your lips.
Your voice is cracking now. Your network is a little distorted right now. So if you can do something about it, it will be great. Otherwise, you can continue. Otherwise, also.
Okay, I'll try. Bob, did you give me a glass of water?
Yeah, I'm hoping that your network gets fine. Yeah, I think.
Can you see it?
Yeah, it sometimes might be going off and coming back. Okay, that's the next book. Wow.
Next book, first edition.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
Book I never should have written.
Interesting.
My son's wife about the healing process that we went through. And I'll read the first poem in the line. It's about healing after tragedy. It's the title poem in the book. And the little green frog, the belly button is the doorbell. Where a joyous coral and saffron butterfly, outlined in coal, celebrate dancing through the scarlet bougainvillea. See the babies roses. Welcome this marvelous morning. Here in the den, mommy nurses her child with sweet breast milk as they both inhale the honey scent of the Hawaiian ginger blossom Poppy has just picked from the garden and threaded through the buttonhole of mommy's blouse. See it right there under her chin. Poppy, beaming tranquility, watches his new family from the kitchen, where he cleans potatoes, cooks some soup, and rinses dishes. Late that night, when angels cradle the house with coppery coverlets of dust, baby gazes at his parents, learning his first lesson of love. Dreaming of baby drifts into sleep, gripping Poppy's finger, stroked by mommy's touch. Watch quietly. Mommy and Poppy cuddle, whisper, and hum a lullaby, while baby absorbs every word. Maybe they talk of their childhood or how they will raise their newborn. Maybe they just relax and wander into the future, wishing on satin stars. smiling with the full moon, and memorizing this magical moment in their little white house in Miami. Headline: Curry Hill Velie, age 35, and months pregnant with her son Jack and 2-year-old son Joseph Johnsley IV, were found brutally murdered in their Coconut Grove home on this morning, September 6, 2002.
Wow, that's really long back, and you've been writing for so long. It's interesting to listen to your poems, though, and it makes you self introspect and look back at your own life when I'm listening to your poems.
And this poem is called Tea. And it's about when I first noticed my son was starting to heal.
We have few guests who are joining us. I welcome them. Nicholas Ovik and 33TV33.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is called Tea. And again, it's the first poem I wrote when I saw my son starting to heal. Your poppy has made his own cup of tea this morning. Put water in the kettle, boiled and poured it into a mug with a bag. Then he peeled and cut into small pieces his own banana. Such simple, mundane tasks. So earth-shakingly normal 3 months ago, but now fettered with leaden chains of grief. Today a slight resolve firms his step, an inherent need to walk upright again, to try and function in the face of this world without. I turn to watch the white birds outside drop its remaining wings. They float, mingling with this side snow. There is no wind today, and at this moment it's frozen. As frozen as the bird bath unable to quench a frigid starling's thirst. As frozen as our weighted hearts. But for the first time, I begin to believe there is a chance spring will come again. And the last poem in this book, it's called Metanoia, which is the Greek term for transformation.
Wow.
And
I'd like to have that book. If I can see the book, it will be really nice. Okay.
And this is called Metanoia. It starts with an epigraph by Jack Gilbert. To make injustice the only measure of our attention, praise the devil. Talismanic rosary in hand, I watch the breath of morning rise. Warm mist drifting upward from the cold waters of the deep lake, ascend into heaven. New clouds, baby clouds form from water to air, a mystery unfolding before me. Wafting east toward Mecca, aglow with the rising sun, they become angels with outstretched wings, joining hands to worship the dawn. The diminutive dots of dew descend upon my cheek, mixed with a trace of tears, uniting me with the celestial scene. After all our sorrowful wailing, are we not, after all, mostly water? Infused with this infinite power of transformation, my soul builds with him. We are all one spirit, and permanence only a physical illusion. The full moon still accents the shifting sky, and day and night are one, until a dove coos, crackling with scarlet coat of dawn. Then reality returns, the simple reality. Somewhere in a cell your murderer still breathes, his breath commingling in the atmosphere with ours, until all our bodies eventually evaporate, join as one. This unshakable reflection acknowledges that these temporary vessels we call are merely swells in incalculably deep ocean, so that even through tidal waves of grief, we must allow the longest night to pull us back into the light, risking forgiveness as we search for peace. That was
Okay. Okay. So just for the conclusion, can we see the book that you recited, the poems that we've published for you in a riot? You recited from that book. So can we have a look at that book and show it to the audience here? This is the...
Oh, okay.
Yes, so it will be like interesting for us too. Yeah. With that, I'd like to ask you if you'd like to share anything else with the people here about yourself or about your journey as a writer, a poet, how
Yes,
evolved, how it evolved you as a human being, and how it has been. What inspired you to write these beautiful poems that you have written and
I've
shared with
written
us?
I've written since I'm a child, and
Okay.
everything I see around me. Like I said, we live in the woods, and everything I see around me inspires me for poetry. I think there's so much we can learn from nature just by observing.
Okay.
And I'd like to read from Many Roads to Paradise, my
Okay.
third book.
Uh-huh. Go ahead.
Okay. Some thoughts on snowboarding, which you ouch, right on my tailbone again. My waterproof ski wear is so saturated, there are rivulets dripping down my legs. Poof! Where did my breath go? I'll just lie here on my belly for a while trying to... Truthfully, I can't get up. My unmerciful baby-faced instructor, the one I've labeled Attila the Hun, placates me with paid-for supportive platitudes. You're doing fine. Dig in your board. Push up with your hands to get up. Okay, so I will ignore the pain in my shoulders. Get up and balance gently, you command, as I slide for less than a foot and crash. Ouch, do I really want to get up, only to drop down like a dead dinosaur? This bunny slope will take an hour at this painful pace. And then there's that awful chair again. Just once let me get off the chair without raising the spectacle, and taking every tot and teen within 10 feet down with me in humble tone. Ouch. My foot looks funny, twisted that way. Maybe it's not broken. I need aspirin. An aspiring ancient snowboarder's best friend. I've resigned never to strap this horrid thing on my feet again. When I am gliding, shifting my weight ever so subtly, pointing my board downhill, covering real distance, then I am going goofy, a goofy terminology for wrong foot forward, which spirals me into an unplanned, unexpected, almost graceful 360-degree turn. Oops, I'm down again, but I'm smiling, that no one could see because my face lies buried in the snow. Riding myself hastily, radiant with snowburn and accumulated humiliation. Another glow creeps into my cheeks as my aristocratic, intelligent young snowboarding coach slaps me 5 and yells, "Wicked funk, get up now, grandma dude, and ride."
Interesting.
We get a lot of snow in New Hampshire.
I know you can keep on reciting your poems one after the other. You've so much of written content with you. I know that you have a blog as well there where you write your poems called Dianalee.com. Forgive me if my pronunciation is incorrect. Is that right?
You get snow at all where you are?
Yes. I think with that, this is the third book, The Many Roads of Paradise. Oh, to Paradise. Interesting.
Then the next book is The Alchemy of Desire.
Okay. Go on, we are here.
This book is dedicated to my husband. And the first poem is called In the Beginning.
Okay.
and it's inspired by Mark Twain's Diaries of Adam and Eve.
Okay. That's an interesting one.
Talk about a new beginning. 1 minute ago, I sat here a lump of dirt. Now I'm a man using these things I've labeled words. Words for my arms, my legs, my sky, my sun. Me! It's all about me. Maybe I'll be the world's first poet. Me! I write, I walk, I jump, I'm hungry, I'm lonely, I'm silent, I'm wishing. Must be careful with that concept wishing. The beautiful silence has disappeared. I woke up with an ache in my side, and there she sat. Sort of like me, but really different. She can't stop talking about something called emotions. And a new word. We should do this, and we should do that. What have I done? And now it's all about us. Now she's gone and done it. Wish for other creatures. They're all over the place. She especially loves those things she calls cats. Arrogant little fur balls, I hate them. The one that goes woof, though, I sort of adopted. He obeys me like I thought she would. I've named this one Dog. The opposite of that guy up there, christening himself God and calling all the shots down here. Also, a few of these other animals are making me salivate. I wonder, I could use a little more than nuts and berries and those plants she started to chop into something she calls salad. But to tell you the truth, it's that slinky creature curled around the apple tree that's hypnotizing her. Trust me, that one's going to cause trouble in paradise. Genius that I am, I think I'll start my novel with that scene. It will be my masterpiece. I will call it my Genesis. Everyone will know my name.
Interesting. Very interesting. So, what is the next poem that you'd like to recite? Is there another book or any poems that you would like to recite?
Morning Sacrament. I love my coffee in the morning, and it's called Morning Sacrament. Oh, holy caffeine, blessed first cup of coffee, stirring my brain, swirling light, creamy consciousness into the dark, deep unconscious with just one sip. Morning drips into my veins as the sun rises from beneath the state, setting the kitchen on fire, blessing me with this ordination of caffeination. Head bowed, my lips well-warming my earthenware mug, the spot worn smooth by morning's continuous sacrament, as I contemplate the contents of my fragile cup. And this next poem is called Kissing Marilyn Monroe's Crypt. When I was in California, my son was living in California, and we went out to visit, and not far from where he lived, there was a cemetery where a lot of famous people were buried. And Marilyn Monroe's crypt was there. And when we went to, all the tourists go there to look, and we went, and it happened to be the anniversary of her death, or I'm not sure, was it death or her birth, but they're all Marilyn Monroe lookalikes lined up to kiss her crypt and leaving lipstick prints on the crypt.
Okay.
So
I see.
So Kissing Marilyn Monroe's Crypt is the title of this poem. And it starts by a quote by Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe, I knew I belonged to the public and to the world, not because I was talented or even beautiful, but because I never belonged to anything or anyone else. Now the poem, Kissing Marilyn Monroe's Crypt. In the corridor of memory, she rests eternally, closed inside her crypt. Bouquets of white roses and pure lilies adorn the stone memorial facade now, covered in red and pink lipstick kisses, neatly puckered and placed mementos of devotion from her fans. Visitors and the occasional cross-dresser who, with tears cascading through his mustache, is now kissing Marilyn Monroe's crypt. Embarrassed yet relieved, I witnessed this intimate exhibit of female adoration, inhaling the faint scent of Chanel No. 5, whirling around us. He unsquirrels his white dress, adjusts his blonde wig, and waves me forward. Impulsively accepting his lavish invitation, I take his manicured hand and kiss her crypt, where I leave my coral lip print and the Westwood Memorial Park, playfully blowing my new friend a kiss, while drawing my long brunette hair blonde. Kissing Marilyn. That was quite the scene.
Oh, it's an interesting concept that you've captured right there in the poem, so others get to know about it. Interesting indeed.
This next poem is called The Poet at 10.
Okay.
And it's a self-portrait of myself 10 years old. Long brunette bangs, constantly pushed between her ears, hide her wandering green eyes already bespectacled from reading long after lights out and bedtime. She's quiet in class, rarely raising her hand, keeping her covert knowledge close to her heart, never discussing the assignment or answering unimportant questions. She is too busy gazing out the window, smiling at a ray of sunshine as it escorts a passage of dust mites to the top of her blank page, tickling her pen with delight. I've always been
interesting. With that, I think let us conclude today's event. Or do you want to recite? I think let's conclude the event today. I think we've covered mostly everything which we can think of. The poems that we've recited are also very interesting and really offbeat. And with that, I'd just like to ask you, are you in approval of us sharing this video on YouTube and other social media platforms?
Pardon, I lost you for a minute.
I am asking you whether are you in approval of us sharing this video with our viewers, our readers, our poets, other poets on social media and online? Do you give your approval for that?
Yes.
Okay. And I'd like to thank Instagram and everybody who attended today's event to listen to your work and your poem, and to you for being available and to have recited so many wonderful poems that we got to listen to today.
Yeah, I keep losing your voice.
I don't see much of your work on our platform, You should submit more of your work with us. Maybe we'll be interested in publishing more work that you have written so far. I can see that you've written a lot. And we have some interesting compilations happening right now.
Should I read from my next book?
I think if you just share the book, it would be great. This is the 5th book?
This is the 5th book, Ever After.
Okay. All right. You can. You might read that.
Okay, this book is a takeoff of fairy tales.
Okay.
It's putting the fairy tales in current day.
It's a very unusual cover design. It has a woman on the cover design. So
no, that's
yes.
Not... that's
okay.
Witch.
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
This first poem is called "How Did I End Up Here?"
Oh, interesting title.
How did I end up here taking care of 7 little men with strange names who work in the coal mines and drag dusty, dirty boots across my spotless floors, expecting me to wash their filthy laundry and cook them dinner? And if this isn't enough, there's that old hag who keeps wanting to give me apples. My pretty one, she calls. Taste my lovely apples today. So one day I took them all and baked a pie for the hungry little freaks, and they all dropped dead. Now I'm on trial for multiple homicides, and I can tell the jury doesn't believe the ugly hag story. I am numb, in a trance, going through this nightmare, when my prince of a public defender waltzes in with a wicked witch who confesses she just wanted to kill me. I hug my attorney and he kisses my snow white cheek, then my ruby red lips. I pat my ebony hair, fix my bow and smile for the journalists and their cameras. But I know I will only tell my story to those two cute reporters named Grimm. That's my spoof on Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Okay.
And then the next poem is Alice meets with her substance abuse counselor, from Alice in Wonderland.
Okay.
Alice meets with her substance abuse counselor. You must stay out of Central Park at night. Your excuse is getting old. You can't keep telling me a hookah-smoking caterpillar made you eat those hallucinogenic mushrooms. Now let's talk about your anorexia. You are getting smaller and smaller. At our first meeting, you were huge, obese even, out of rehab and talking about getting fit. Now you've fallen down the rabbit hole again, taking everything to an extreme. Don't go drowning in your own tears. Let us have a cup of tea. I also have some explaining to do with Central Park zoo officials. The flamingo you were using for a croquet mallet might not make it. It's going to be off with my head for allowing you probation after your ecstasy ran by a disappearing cat who left behind only a Cheshire grin. But I must wrap this session up. I'm late for a very important day. And yes, I think it's fine to have a pet dormouse. A dormouse is good for your head. And then it ends by a quote by Jefferson Airplane. Remember what the dormouse said. Feed your head, feed your head. Okay, this book, I just had a lot of fun.
Okay.
Redoing fairy tales.
Interesting.
And it's called Ever After.
Okay. Ever After. Okay.
And then I have my most current book. And the most current book is Italian Lesson.
Wow, that cover looks really classy.
My husband took the picture. And the whole book has photos that my husband took when I was teaching in Italy, when I was teaching poetry in Italy. So it's a joint.
Do share the names of the books, We'll definitely help you promote it in whichever way we can.
Right, this is Italian Lesson.
Okay. All right. Italian lessons.
And the first poem is called Italian Lesson. My Italian needs lots of help. The squishy coral-like object on my plate does not appear edible or anything like what I imagined seasonal fish stew I thought I had ordered would look like. Poking at the glob with my fork, it wiggles as my knife proceeds with the first cut. Proceeding with serious caution, the smallest possible piece makes its way to my suspecting palate. I have chewed softer gum. My mind starts screaming, swallow, and perspiration stains my skin. Until with childlike deception, I lift my napkin to my lips, pat them delicately, and spit out the masticated mess. Inhaling a gulp of my wine, then air, I smile at the Sicilian waiter and then my date and ask in perfect Italian, "Che cosa è bottega?" He answers perfect English. One must develop a taste for Italy, signora, especially a taste for trash.
Interesting.
And the next poem is Ode to the Ravioli I Left Behind. I can't tell you how many times I couldn't finish my meal and boxed it up and then left it there. Just forgot to take it with me. And my husband took this photo.
Oh, wow.
That goes with the poem.
I can see it.
Can you see it?
Yes, I can see it. Oh.
Oh, to the ravioli I left behind. True to my fickle brain, I left you behind in the styrofoam to-go box, destined you to the restaurant's trash bin, instead of providing me with 2 sumptuous lunches. You were perfection, aglow in olive oil, your little patty cakes of dough infused with emerald spinach and filled with fluffy ricotta. Sauteed peppers, broccoli, and mushrooms crowned your glory. Oh, to leave this perfection behind. Forgive me, please, and add this error to the temple of my transgression. Unless, of course, I pray, our Italian wench waitress took you home to relish after her long shift, sitting in bed with her American boyfriend, seductively feeding each other tiny morsels of his stolen indulgence. This would grant me forgiveness and atonement. This would clean my plate. And again, there's the ravioli.
Wow.
This poem is called St. Faustus.
Okay.
And when you're in Italy, you see a lot of churches and a lot of relics. And curiosity always gets me, so I always want to go see what's going on. So, this is about St. Faustus. Elegant and round, La Chiesa de San Giorgio, Canero Riviera, reverberating with the sound of ancient organ music, sweeping me further into the sacristy than my initial peek through the front door. Mesmerized by ageless music, I noticed parishioners walking reverently up steps near the far right corner beside the altar. Curiosity, despite my husband's restraint, lured me up and into a small dark room. There, elevated in a glass coffin for the faithful to adore, lay St. Faustus, displayed like Sleeping Beauty in his full priestly regalia. Needing a closer look, I climbed one of 2 rickety wooden staircases leading up to either end of the coffin. St. Faustus, resembling the Pillsbury Doughboy, having lain there peacefully for centuries, was suddenly disturbed as I lost my balance and grabbed the coffin. A miracle! The coffin merely shifted. Faustus only teetered. My husband tottered, racing right out of the church, and I fell to my knees as if giving thanks for not fainting, because St. Faustus had not faltered. Scared the living daylights out of me when the whole thing started shaking. This poem is called Swan Gods. Outside where we stayed when I was teaching, the swan gave birth to these babies, and we watched them grow bigger every day. Swan God. Like Prometheus protecting fire, the regal grand swan shielded his young, circling his 7 signets and their gentle mother, fiercely fending off questioning mallards and curious tourists. Like Zeus, a god in his kingdom, he puffed up his feathers, proud of his royal fatherhood, evoking the memory of imperial seduction and his kingly reign of terror over mortals and nature alike. Like Leda, I could have been seduced by his macho glory, giving birth to human cygnets who would grow as stunning as Helen, with long, slender necks and alabaster skin as soft as down. Like the human I am, I could only marvel at their crimson beaks and youthful dullness, and stare at Cygnus, Northern Cross, and tonight's Italian sky, weeping for the mystery and beauty of it all. Swan God. Okay, I'll read 2 more poems from this book. This poem is called Art.
Okay.
And in Italy, you see a lot of art. You go to a lot of museums, and there's art all over. But sometimes the art is right in front of you when you don't realize it.
Oh, I do see that.
We have explored Florence's Uffizi, witnessed personally prominent works of priceless art, Da Vinci, Michelangelo, Botticelli, and the rest. But here in the alley, beside a simple goat cart, in front of the rustic red house on his farm, Stefano stands tall, spear, and stark. A basket of onions sits poised on his arm while sunlight glistens his olive skin, perspiration a part of his natural charm. He tosses us a heartbreaking grin that can set in aquiline features that makes us faint, while we think of how many ways we can sin. This feast of endless female artists should allow some woman with great moral restraint. Excuse me.
No problem.
And this is the last poem. It's the last poem in the book. And this is the door of where we stayed.
Okay. I think I saw that behind you also there was something that is looking similar to this. It's a piece of art, isn't it? It's okay.
And the door refused.
Yeah, I can see the door, yes. I can see that.
And it refused to lock the whole time we were there. And this poem was written on the last day we were there. It's called Arrivederci. We closed the huge door made of weathered olive wood slats. A door we were somehow never able to lock. The 5 deadbolts forever refusing to align. The door we left open like our hearts, arbored by a grapevine, still displaying clusters of amethyst jewels. A door harboring expensive camera equipment and computers, containing a lifetime of story. The store behind which an ethereal world existed, where photographers turn water into wine with infrared cameras, capturing our world in a magical, mystical mist. Where we wandered, strangers, searching ghostly images that materialize into stories and poems told with waving hands and glittering starry eyes. This door, having beseeched us to come in, rest and create, now blushes in the amber sunset as we prepare for another journey and another door, when we hear the accidental click. The lock, more knowledgeable than fate, seals shut, like a camera lens closing, revealing, remembering, recording this week's in our lives as we fold ourselves back into the Tuscan hills. And these poems are from Italian Love.
Italian Love.
And these poems are written when I was teaching in Italy, when I was teaching poetry in Italy.
Oh.
And that's the last poem I'll read.
Wow, that's really lovely to see all your 6 books being read out by you in bits and pieces. It's really, really amazing and really interesting. So, you said you taught poetry. So, were you teaching you in a university or were you freelancing? How was that?
I consider myself a poetry midwife.
Okay. That's rare to come by.
It's really encouraging people to get out what's inside them.
Yes, it does take strength. It's not every day everybody is able to express themselves openly the way you are doing today with your poetry.
You have to give people the freedom to let the unexpected come.
Yes, there are lots and lots of people out there have difficulty in expressing themselves, even though they feel it. They don't form words, and then they regret not having been able to express it. And that is the skill which something I really, really cherish in myself, as well as other poets who I hear and who I publish or who I see writing poems. And like right now I can see you're reciting the poems that the expressions are amazing. The simplicity, the ease of understanding is outstanding. It's really amazing.
Well, when I was there, one of my first years of teaching way back when, I remember telling a student that her poems were like skating on top of ice, and that she had to break through the ice to get what was really inside. And she got angry and she walked out of class. And I said, "Oh no!" But the following week she came back, and she had poems that broke through the ice. She wrote poems that really came out of her heart. So that's what I said.
Wow.
I'm more like a poetry midwife, trying to encourage people to get to their truth.
It is indeed a very difficult profession to choose, and I am blessed to come across you to have done so with other poets who wanted to become poets but were having difficulty in being one.
Well, I'm blessed to have you find me in Mumbai.
Indeed.
It's a world.
Indeed. Okay, so is there anything else that you'd like to share with our audience here, or is that it? I'd just like to check with you.
Just that if you have a poem in your heart, write it. Don't judge it.
Oh,
Just
what a wonderful note to end the show with. Yes, absolutely. That's wow.
get all those little crows off your shoulder that say, "I can't write this, I can't write this." Just do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just as simple as that. Nothing more or less.
I know I've had students ask me, "How do you make a lot of money as a poet?" I said, "You don't become a poet, you go get your MBA in finance."
Okay, that's really cute. Okay, so with that, I think we'll conclude the show, and I say namaste and thank you.
Thank you.
And see you. We'll stay in touch for sure.
Yes, please do. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.